Chodesh Hazeh Lachem. The Torah says that our calendar is set by the moon. Each month begins with the appearance of the new moon. The time from one new moon to the next is about 29 and a half days. Not exactly. The Torah also says, B'chodesh Aviv, calendar set by the sun. Pesach has to be in the spring. Sukkot is Chag Asif, the ingathering, in the fall. To keep pace with the sun, a year has to be about 365 and a quarter days. Again, not exactly. These times are independent, they're unrelated. Any fixed calendar that uses both of them is going to get out of sync. So for the first half of Jewish history, the solution, according to the Torah, was to fix it by hand in the Sanhedrin. Witnesses came to the new moon to testify. If they saw it on the 29th, that would be Rosh Chodesh. Otherwise, the 30th would be Rosh Chodesh. A month is about 29 and a half days, so it happened about half the time. They'd also decide whether to add Adar Sheni every year, if it looked like it wouldn't be spring before Pesach. Since a year is about 11 days longer than 12 months, so that would happen every 2 or 3 years. The system was self-correcting, but as long as you do it that way, there was no way to know ahead of time what the calendar would be. Okay.
So why wouldn't they know how to if they needed an emperor year if they didn't have an emperor year last year or 2 years?
As soon as they would check how the goats are doing and how the crops are coming up, it was a judgment call. So near the end of the time of the Gemara, it became impractical to do it that way. One of the Nesiim, Hillel ben Yehuda, set up a permanent system instead, but calculation instead of direct observation. He established every month's Rosh Chodesh, every year's Rosh Hashanah until the end of time. I said before, that's not going to be exact. But Chazal did as accurate a job as was needed, and it has only drifted a few days in the more than 1,000 years since. It'll be close enough till B'ezras Hashem we have another Sanhedrin. Sorry? The Chazon Ish says that when the Rambam says it's Halacha l'Moshe Misinai, it doesn't mean the exact system we have now. It's Halacha l'Moshe Misinai that they could set up a system of calculation if they needed it. So here's some references, starting with the Rambam and the Tur. My own interest began with a shir by Rav David Heber at Ner Yisrael almost 3 decades ago. I always wanted to sit down and work out next year's calendar using all the rules he taught, and finally I did it in 5779. This, I think, is the 8th time. So let me first tell you a story. This is Rav Schlanger used to tell this about his father and the Satmar Rav, Aleichem Hashalom. The Rav was in one of the camps. Long enough he didn't know what next year's calendar would be. He knew the system, but he wanted someone to check his work. He found Rav Schlanger's father, who was a mathematician. They worked it out together. And forever afterwards, the Rav would stand up for Rav Schlanger's father, saying he had saved all his Yomim Tovim. He'd saved his Yomim Tovim. He'd saved him in the camps to know the calendar. Yeah. So let's begin an overview. We're going to pick the right calendar for the year. First, we have to decide if it's a regular year or a leap year, Milberis. The months have to track the moon. The years have to track the sun. So we'll need an extra month every so often to keep them in sync, and Chazal set up a repeating cycle. 17 years, and the siman to remember it is Guach Adazat, and I'm going to explain that. Okay, the next step's going to be finding the Molad. That's the astronomical moment for the new moon for Tishrei. They're not all quite the same length as the truth, but you can approximate it by the average time. Chazal estimated that time to within a second. The siman for that is Aleph Yud Beis, Tav Shin Tzadi Gimel. We'll learn what that means too. No, but I can if you want afterwards. Yeah. Then we'll just count. We'll have to count how many months there have been since creation. Multiply by that amount right there per month, and it gives the moment of the molad that we want. It's not a day, it's a time, a particular time within the day. Then you do it again for the following Tishrei, the end of this year. 12 more months, or 13 if it would be a leap year. You get to the molad for the next year. Again, a moment in time, not a day. Okay, next step is find out Rosh Hashanah. It's not always on the same day as the molad, strangely enough. Right? Not always on this. These are called the Arba Dichiyas, 4 reasons why it's moved later. Okay, so we do that. We're going to do that, and then we'll now know when Rosh Hashanah is. It's now a day on the calendar, like Monday or Tuesday, a day of the week. From those 2 Rosh Hashanahs, this year's and next year's, we're going to know the length of the year. There's 3 types: small, medium, and large. Yeah, Chasera, Kesidra, and Shlema. That fact, plus the starting day, plus knowing whether it's a regular or a leap year, that completely determines the calendar. Turns out there are 14 possible. We're really done at that point. Chazal worked out every single detail of each of those 14 calendars. There's a nice chart in the tour. From then on, all we'll be doing is showing the steps that Chazal did in order to work it out. From here on in. Okay, so the first thing is you got to figure out how many days of each Rosh Chodesh. 1 day or 2. That depends on how long the year is, we just said. Yeah? And we'll get all the Yom Tovim. They have dates. Yeah?
That's when this labor adjusted.
Yes. Then we just have to fit in the weekly Torah portions. You know how many slots you've got, the available Shabbases, and then you got to figure out which ones get doubled up to fit. And there can be different results in Eretz Yisrael and in Chutz La'aretz, it's like this year. The last step I'm not actually going to do is to find out how this fits in with the secular calendar. We'll see that Chazal did explain how to do that using the same Talmud Matar. It was the closest they had to anything that they cared about the secular calendar. Okay, that was the overview. Now we're going to do it. Okay, so the first step is figuring out whether it's a regular or a leap year. So Chazal set up a 19-year cycle. 12 regular years, 7 leap years. That's a total of 235 months if you multiply it out. Turns out that's very close to the time for 19 solar years. 235 months, 19 years is very close. Not exact, as I said. So to find our place in that cycle, you're going to take the number of the year, which is 5786 this year, and divide by 19. The remainder is 10. Call that Yud, okay? The remainder 10. So the siman for the leap years is Guach Adazat. You remember that? Guach Adazat.
You take 5786 that's the year, and you divide it by 19.
Divide by 19, the remainder is 10.
What do you mean remain? So what's the answer?
So you'll get 304, and there's 10 left over when you divide.
Days.
304 19-year cycles, and then 10 years left over. Yeah? So this is Yud. So Guach Adazat, those are the years that are leap years. That's 3, 6, 8, 11, 4, right? The Adazat is 11, 14, 17, and 19. 10's not on the list. This is not a leap year. It's a regular year. Okay. Onward. Now we got to do the molad. We're going to do it for Tishrei of this year and next year. First of all, let's learn how you do these kind of calculations. Okay? Chazal used 3 different numbers. The first is the day, 1 to 7. Shabbos is 7. The hours, and then the chalakim. Chalakim, 1,080 in an hour. That's 3 1/3 seconds. 3 1/3 seconds. One quirk is that the hours are measured from 6 p.m. A Jewish day starts at nightfall. But you're used to using Shal Zmanios, sunset and sunrise, sunset, darkness, none of that stuff. These are clock hours. 24 in a day starts 6 p.m. That's 6 hours after noon in Yerushalayim, regardless of the sun. Nothing to do with that. Yeah, 6 p.m. is called 0. 12 p.m. midnight is called 6. Dawn is 12, 6 a.m., and then noon is 18. See, right, nothing to do with the sun. I don't mean dawn. I mean 6 a.m. is called 18. This is how they measure time. They're going to give us three numbers. They're going to give us the day, the hour in the day, and then how many halakim in the hour. That's how they measure a time, right? It's not time during the day. So noon is 18. Sorry? Noon is 18. What did I say? Yeah. Okay. So we could also count the weeks. But it turns out that they set it up in a way that you don't actually need to bother with the weeks. It's kind of amazing. It'll be enough to know the time, and we'll figure everything else out. You'll see. So let me give you a quick example of these kinds of calculations. Say I want to add this number to that number. Yeah? Those 4 days, 18 halakim, I mean, it's 18 hours, 443 halakim to this many days, 5 days. So first of all, we add up the halakim. So 447 and 742 is 1185. That's more than an hour, because an hour is 1080. So you got 105 left over. Carry the 1. That's the 1 hour. Okay, now do the hours. 18 and 20 and 1 is 39. That's 1 day and 15 hours. Carry the 1. Okay, the days was 4 plus 5. Add the 1. Get 10. Ignore the weeks and you got 3. So the answer is 3, 15, 105, Gimel, Tezvav. All the calculations are done this way. Just keep carrying. It's kind of a pain, but that's... Whenever you do one of these calculations, we'll do that in a minute. I'll give you some calculations, but the goal is going to be to figure out the Molad of Tishrei this year. That's what we're going to do. We're going to add up all the times. From the beginning, we're going to show you the starting point and add up all the months since then and carry all the ones, and you'll end up with the time of Tishrei this year. Just watch. Yeah? Just keep carrying. Okay, so we got to find out how many months there are from creation, which we'll see from the starting point. How many months there have been. We'll figure out the day of the week and the time of day, and I'm not going to carry about the weeks, even though there's thousands and thousands of weeks since creation. Okay, and the easiest way to do it is to break it in pieces. We're going to figure out how many 19-year cycles, and then how many years left over, how many pshutas, and how many mubaros, how many left over. Okay, now what's a starting point? What do I mean by the starting point? This is strange. Seems strange. It's called Baharad. It's near the beginning of year 1 of creation. Monday, 5 hours and 204 halakim. What in the world is that? It's an imaginary time before the world was created. The world was actually created 6 days before the end of year 1. This is almost a whole year earlier. So what's that for? So Chazal could have started from when they started, whenever they created the calendar, which was around 4,200, somewhere around there. But then you'd have to subtract that every time you do the calculations. Instead, they tracked backwards in time to the year 0, so you wouldn't have to subtract. It's a made-up time before the world. This is what it comes out to be, is Baharad. It's kind of neat, though, that if you add one more year to it, one regular year, the next beginning of year 2 is the morning of the day when Adam HaRishon was created. Friday morning, 1 Tishrei. So that already is a real time. Okay, so we got to count up all them months since creation. We're going to break it in pieces. How many 19-year cycles? Okay. How many regular years left over? How many leap years left over? Multiply all those out and add them up and carry the ones, like I said. So each month, this is how long it is. Aleph Yud Beis Tafshin Sadi Gimel. I told you that. That's really 29 days. A month is 29 days, but I'm skipping the months. So it's a 1. this many hours and that many chalokim. Take 12 of those, you get a regular year, this long. Take 13 of them, you get a leap year, and it's that long. And then the 19-year cycle is 12 of these and 7 of those. Add it all up and carry all the ones, and you get this many days, this many hours, this many chalakim, and ignore the weeks. Okay? So we're going to have to add all that up. Okay, does everybody have your pencil and paper ready? We aren't going to need them, I'm sorry. I made a calculator, which will do this for us, make our lives easier. See if I can. Yeah, here's my calculator. This thing does this for us. It starts with a starting point on the top line. It adds the number of 19-year cycles on the second line, and then the extra regular years and the extra leap years, and adds them all up and does all the carrying for you. So you can do it for any year you want. Final sum is, you can even change the month if you want to know the molad for announcements in shul. This is the one we just, I guess we're up to Kislev, right? That was the one we must have just announced. Okay. Anyhow, this is the one we want right now. You add them all up and do all the carrying, and you end up with 218,187. That's the molad for this year's Tishrei. Counting from creation, all those 304 19-year cycles, etc. Yeah, carry that. Yeah, exactly, and added them all up. It's all being done by the calculator, but the Satmarov had to do it himself. Okay, then you need to do it for the next year's Tishrei. So you're going to add one more regular year. The Pshutos just went from 6 to 7, and you get another number, 721063. That's Shabbos in 2 hours again. It's an exact time, sometime in the day on Shabbos. This coming Rosh Hashanah. Yeah, I didn't tell you it's on Shabbos. I just said when the molad is. We'll see about Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Yeah, so these are these calculations we just did. If you want to do them by yourself, you can. You start adding up all these numbers, and this is the 10th year of the 19-year cycle. So there's six regular years and 3 leap years, and you got to add all those up. And when you add everything up, you get the number we wanted, 218,187. So Monday, 12 p.m., 7 Chalak. Okay. Same thing for next year. Okay, so now we got the 2 numbers we want. Those 2 numbers on the bottom right, 218,187, 721063. Remember, these are exact times in the day. These are times, not days. Okay. Having found all that, which might have taken a while if we had a pen by paper, now we have to find out the Rosh Hashanahs. So it should be, you'd think, on the same day as the molad, but it's not. Not necessarily. There are 4 reasons why it might be later. These are called the Arba Dechias. Okay, and there's 4 different reasons why we're going to move it later. Okay, so if we didn't have the Arba Dechias, so Rosh Hashanah should have been on Monday this year, and Shabbos next year. That's the 2 and the 7. Yeah? But no, let's see what happens. Here are the Arba Dechias. They're called Molad Zakein, Lo Adu Rosh, Gat Rad, and Betutak Pot. So what's all that? Okay, so the first one is Molad Zakein. Is it afternoon? If the Molad's afternoon, it moves to the next day. This is a Gemara from a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah. So what about our cases? So they're on the right. So yeah, the second one is before noon. It's like 8 p.m. But the one for the Rosh Hashanah we just passed, that one was at 18 hours and 18 is noon. So it's afternoon, so it moves forward. So the first Rosh Hashanah just moved from Monday to Tuesday. Okay? Molad Zaken. Okay? Second Dechia. Now, is it on Adu? Lo Adu Rosh. Rosh Hashanah can't be on a Sunday, not on a Wednesday, and not on a Friday. Lo Adu Rosh. Why not? So that's also a Gemara. It says that if it were on next to Shabbos, Yom Kippur would end up next to Shabbos, and you wouldn't be able to cook for 2 days in a row, right?
What was the reason why you had to be tegen Marlon one?
Because of the this afternoon.
Yeah.
It's a long balamor there that tries to describe it. You end up with has to be a new moon somewhere on the continent before you get to the edge of Asia. Right? Ayin Sham. Okay, so here's the second one. Lo Adu Rosh. It can't be on those days, and if it is, it moves to the next day. By now, we could have moved Rosh Hashanah 2 days, starting from where we started, one more day and another day. This time, neither of them moves. Tuesday's okay, Shabbos is okay. It stays on Tuesday and stays on Shabbos. Okay, we got 2 more Dechiyas to go. These are a little more subtle and a little more complicated. They have to do with the length of the year. Chazal didn't allow just any length of a year. They only allowed 3 lengths. Chasera, Kesidra, and Shlema. Short, medium, and long. 1 day longer, 1 day shorter. So, by looking at the days of Rosh Hashanah so far, we can see how long the year is going to be. So for a regular year, a pshuta, we said the molad shifts, we talked about it before, 12 months, it's 4 days and 8 hours and a few chalakim. But if you look at the actual calendars, so a short year can have a shift of 3 days from one Rosh Hashanah to the next. Say from Shabbos this year, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to the next. That would be allowed. That's short. A regular year would have a 4-day shift, 1 more day, and then a long year has a 5. That's all they allowed. 3, 4, or 5 days shift. Similarly for a Moberes. The Molad shift is 5 days and almost 6 days, 21 plus hours. But the year could be 5 days, like from Monday to Shabbos, or 6 days, or even 7 days. 7 days means Rosh Hashanah is the same day this year as next year. That's a 7-day shift. And again, that's all the choices allowed. Yeah? Here's a quick summary. So again, you'll see that the way they set up the weeks don't matter. All I need to look at is how many days apart Rosh Hashanah this time and next time. Yeah, so what are those last 2 dechiyas? So it could be that the year just got too long. You moved one of the 2 days and it got stretched, and now you got a year that's longer than allowed. And what you're going to have to do is pull the first Rosh Hashanah forward to catch up, so it's not too long. Unstretch it. Turns out it only happens in one case, because I'll checked all the cases, and this only happens in a case called Gatrad, where the Molad falls on a Tuesday after 9 hours, 204 chalakim, that's Gatrad. Then the next Rosh Hashanah ends up getting bumped 2 days forward. The year just got too long, and this year gets pulled forward to catch up. So instead of being on Tuesday, it's on Wednesday. And it can't be on Wednesday. Lo Adu Rosh, we don't let it be on Wednesday, so it ends up going all the way to Thursday. So it gets stretched, the year gets stretched, and then the earlier Rosh Hashanah gets pulled forward to catch up with it. That's Gatrad. It doesn't happen all that often. Last time was 5772. Not this year. The other one's in reverse. Say the first Rosh Hashanah moved forward too far, and now the year got squished. Now we have a short year. It's too short. Shorter than allowed. You're going to have to bump the second Rosh Hashanah forward to unsquish it. Again, it only happens in one case. This is called Betu Takpat. It has to be a leap year. The second Molad has to be on a Monday after 15 hours, and that's the Betu Takpat, 589 chalakim, and then that Rosh Hashanah gets pushed forward to Tuesday to unsquish the year. Very rare. The last time it happened was in 5766, and it's never going to happen again till the year 6000. It's quite rare. Okay, so after applying all these four rules, we finally have a final dates for Rosh Hashanah at the beginning and at the end of the year. The only thing that happened this year was one of them moved from Monday to Tuesday. Okay, so we got a Tuesday, and then we have a Shabbos. That's a 4-day shift: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. So it's a regular length year, Kisidra, a regular length year. We said 3, 4, and 5, right? This is a 4. This year's a Kisidra. Okay, we moving right along. And we're now able to choose the correct calendar for the year. So the tour gave us a awesome chart. This is in Taf Haf Ches, and it shows all the 14 possible calendars. It's got those things at the top are the simanim to help you remember them. I'll show you in a minute. We can pick which one's ours. So let's see. So that's a very beautiful chart because the tour includes all the Yomim Tovim. On the very bottom of the chart, it has whether the parshios are doubled or not. It's got everything. Chazal finished working out the calendar at this point. There's really nothing more to do. I made a little bit of a fancier version of the tour's chart, just for fun. Let me see if I have it. Yeah. This is the tour's chart. It has all 14 calendars. There's the ones for the regular years, and the other side there's the ones for the leap years. And it has the simonim on the top, which I'll explain. The tour, of course, had reasons of space. He had one page to put it in, and he couldn't show everything. But this one goes through the entire year from beginning to end. The Shabboses are in blue, and the Parshias are in there, and Yomim Tovim, and Rosh Chodashim. This is the day of the month. I had a lot of fun making it, which is probably why I'm wasting your time telling you about it. But we will be using it for the rest of this year. So which is our calendar? So first of all, we said it's a pshuta, right? A regular year. And now we got to pick the right one. So the first siman is the day of the week that Rosh Hashanah falls. This one is on a Monday. Ours is on a, remember? Moved Tuesday. Tuesday, right? Next year's, yeah, this one is Tuesday. It was Tuesday, moved from Monday to Tuesday, so it's a Gimel. So that actually makes it easy, right here. Gimel. We said it's a regular year, Kisidron, that's a Chaf, as opposed to a Shlema or a Chaseira. So this is our calendar right here, Gimel Chaf Hey. You can go. Yeah. You're going to save me about 10 slides. Yeah, so this is our calendar. You could scroll down and see everything there is to know about the year, including the Parshias and so forth, right there. Okay, I didn't tell you about the hay yet. We'll get to the hay in a little bit later. The tour didn't use it. It came into common use after the tour. He only used two letter sim on it. Okay. Arba Sha'arim. Did all that. The 4 gates. Chazal found an amazing way to mechanize all this. The last 20 slides or so, they did it all at once. A single step. To go, you give me the Moed of Tishrei, I'll tell you the calendar. This really neat chart, which is actually in the tour, but it's in words. Now imagine trying to read all this. So this year is the 10th year in the 19-year cycle. That's the green here. It's called Pei Mem because last year was Pshuta, and this year is Pshuta, and next year will be Mo'oberes, Pei Mem. Now you just look up the time of the Molad, which is, we said was 218-187. You find its place here. It's under this is marking this line here. 2 days and 8 hours. It's just below that. And there's your calendar. This includes all the Arba Dechiyos all together in one handy chart. If you know the time of the Molad, you immediately get the calendar right away. Just have to know which year it is, which Arba Sha'arim. This is already from the time of the Geona. It's one thing that's kind of neat about it is you can sort of move down through the list and you can see transitions as things happen. Here's Got Rod right here, for example. You can see when you cross over there, it jumps from one calendar to the next. Okay, we've got our calendar, and now we're ready to place our Yomim Tovim. Rabbi Bamberger already told us how to do it, so let me pop through it quickly. There's only two lengths of months. There's Chaser and Mole, long and short. Yeah. The first day of the next month is always Rosh Chodesh, and if the month is long, Mole, you get 2 days of Rosh Chodesh, the 30th and the 1st. Yeah, the end of the last month and the beginning of the next month. It's got to add up to the right length of the year. We said that's this many for a regular year, that many for a leap year. Right? Those are the choices. And most of the months never vary at all. They kind of alternate. Tishrei is always long. Tevis is always short. Shvat is long. Adar short. Nisan long. Iyar short. Sivan long. Tammuz short. Av long. Elul short always. Those don't change at all. A leap year's got 2 months of Adar. The first one has 30 and the second one has 29, and that's all fixed. It never changes. So what does change? So there's just 2 months. Cheshvan and Kislev back to back. They can be long or short. That's how you get a short year, Chasera, when they're both short, or a long year when they're both long, or a Kisidra year like this year, Cheshvan is short and Kislev is long, which fits the alternating pattern. We just did the end of Cheshvan a couple of days ago, yesterday. So this year, what's about this year? It's a Kisidra, it's a regular year. So the sequence is going to be Tishrei, then Cheshvan is short and Kislev is long. Tevis, Shvat, Adar, there's just one. It actually alternates very nicely all the way through. And you add up the days, you get 354. It's just as it should be. Okay. Now the Yomim Tovim is pretty easy after that. Most of them have just a specific day. A couple of interesting cases. Let me go back to my other calendar. So since Kislev might be long or short, so Chanukah can have 1 day of Rosh Chodesh or 2. This year it has 2. And Chanukah ends up on the 2nd of Tevis. Some other years there's only 1 day of Rosh Chodesh, and then Chanukah is going to end up on the 3rd day of Tevis, since it might be 1 or 2 days of Rosh Chodesh in between. The only other interesting thing, I think, is that Tisha B'Av and Shivasar B'Tammuz can get pushed off if they land on Shabbos. They get pushed off to the 10th. Aside from that, all the Yom Tovim have specific days. There's nothing to it. Okay, let me tell you something amazing that the Torah tells us. Most of the year is pretty much fixed. There's a couple of variables. There's Cheshvan and Kislev are a little bit long, a little bit short. Adar can be an extra month, right? Aside from that span right there, the rest of the calendar is fixed. It might start on different days, but it's a rigid bar, all the way from the beginning of Adar till the next Cheshvan is all rigid, and that means if I tell you what day of the week for one of those days, you know the day of the week for every single other one. So the Torah gives us amazing mnemonic using Atbash. He says if the first day of Pesach is on, let's say, Sunday, the Tisha B'Av will be on the same day. The second day of Pesach, Beis, is on the same day as Shavuos always. Third day is on like Rosh Hashanah. It's like really good, no? Isn't that neat? The fourth one is Simchas Torah. It's the same day as Kuf, Kriyas HaTorah. It's a little more stretched, but so the fourth day is Simchas Torah. The fifth day is Som Kippur. Yom Kippur is on Tzadi. And the sixth day of Pesach is always on the same day as Purim, a month earlier. Yeah, for a long time, people have been looking for a nice Zion, something that fits with Zion. I'm a nice Haredi Jew, so I'm not going to tell you about Yom HaAtzmaut. Yeah, right there. Okay, So I told you on my chart, the last day of the title, like hey, this year, that's the day when Pesach falls. That's the first day of Pesach. That's come into common use since the tour. So this year, for example, the first day of Pesach is Thursday, Friday, is on a Thursday. So each of those tells you which day Pesach falls. That's convenient because according to the tour, that gives you a bunch of other days as well. It's good to know. Okay, so we've got our Yomim Tovim. We're on the home stretch here. We're just going to do the Parshios. It should be pretty easy, right? Because they're all in order. Yeah. So there are three things that make it more interesting. The first one is the Yomim Tovim. If the Yomim Tovim, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, all of Sukkot, all of Pesach, Shavuos, they have their own laning. If they fall on Shabbos, they get in the way, and the laning waits till the next week. Sukkot and Pesach could have one Shabbos or two, so depending on the calendar. Okay, then you just got to count. How many Sedras are left? How many slots are left? There are 54 Sedras total. Let me see on the left here's my nice list of 54. The last one is Vizosa Bracha. That doesn't count because that's going to be on Simchas Torah. It's not a Shabbos laning. So 53. Yeah, and then you got to double them up. I made colored the ones that could be doubled in order to fit the available slots. Okay, we'll see how they decided to do that real quick. Some regular years, every single possible one is doubled. This year, for example, every single doubled parsha.
Because Shavuos comes out on Friday, so therefore it's a certain.
Yeah, that's right. We'll have to do Eretz Yisrael. That's right. Yeah. Hang on. I mean, Chazal meaning Rishonim, I guess. I don't know. So a leap year's got more weeks. It's got 4 extra weeks, more or less. It's going to have fewer double parshios. Some leap years have nothing doubled at all. And the last complication is Eretz Yisrael. If in Eretz Yisrael you keep a one-day Yom Tif, let's say, here's Pesach. If the last day of Pesach, Achron Shal Pesach, is on Shabbos, so Eretz Yisrael just got a week ahead. They're doing Parsha Shemini here, and we're not laning till next week. It can be a while before they catch up. This week, for Shavuos, as Rabbi Bamberger said, the second day of Shavuos is going to be on Shabbos, and they'll lane Parshas Naso when we won't, and we're going to be chasing them for a while, about 6 weeks, I think, until Chukas Balak when we finally catch up. We'll double up and they won't. Yeah?
Why the reason is you have to wait till Hezbollah? Why can't it earlier?
There isn't an earlier one here in between those two. There's no double parshios. Yeah, I mean,
I was asking why can't Balls and Shlach and Kar?
good question, and I don't know. If someone knows an answer, I'd like to know how they picked this group of 7. Some of them are really long, right? Matas Masa is the longest thing around, and I would have picked something shorter, but Chazal know best. Okay.
Options to double.
I think it's Rishonim. Does the Rav know?
Where it says
In 3 years.
Never do 3 parshas at one time?
What are you saying?
Never do 3 parshas at one time?
3? I don't know about
I don't think so.
2. Just 2. Just 2. Great.
Just every year, and the Seder Parashas was different. You didn't read one Shabbos whole parasha.
even
Okay.
like us whether the Monday and Thursday counts towards Shabbos.
Okay. So the way they do it is they set certain times when you want to get to certain parshas by then. Pesach, Shavuos, Tisha B'Av, and then Rosh Hashanah. Let's take a look. To make my life easier, I'm going to line everything up by Pesach. So till now we were looking at it with all the years starting together, but I'm going to shift it so that the leap years and the regular years line up by Pesach. It'll be easier to see what's going on. Let me go to Pesach. Yeah, so now the leap years are now a month ahead, really. Okay, so the first one is Pesach. Everybody gets to Parshas Tzav before Pesach. All the regular years, the Pshutos. In order to do that, most of them had to double up Vayakal Pekudei. This is the very first double Parsha. It's after Purim. Chazal said that usually when they had a Sanhedrin, they didn't double Parshias till Adar. So they didn't double anything till Adar. Vayakal Pekudei. Most of them double it. There's one last year, this was last year's actually. You got an extra Shabbos in there because it had Rosh Hashanah on Thursday and Pesach was on Shabbos, and there's an extra Shabbos in between. So they didn't need the double Vayakal Pekudei. They also get the...
I think the special reason why it's out before Pesach.
Yeah.
Because it's came in there. Actually came in, so Michelis is part of the Sam, in there is partial before Pesach.
Okay. Thank
Not
you.
always.
But for a regular year. Muberes were way ahead, right? They're way ahead. They have no double Parshas, and they're already up to Mitzvah. A couple of them that had the extra Shabbos, the ones that start with a Hey, they're already up to Acharemos. Okay, next benchmark is Shavuos. Everybody gets to Bamidbar before Shavuos. Let me go over here. The regular Parshas had to double everything to do that. They doubled Bahar B'chuk Kosa, Tazria Mitzarach, Harei Kedoshim, Bahar B'chuk, they doubled everything. The Mubaros didn't double anything, nothing. And they still get to Bamidbar. And some of them, those ones that were ahead, they're already up to Naso, they can't help it. Nothing doubled, and here they are up at Naso. Okay, by Tisha B'Av, everybody's caught up. Everybody does Devarim right before Tisha. Say what? Sorry. Right. So it's an extra Shabbos in between, right? The ones that have a Hey, that start with a Hey. So to get to Devarim, so some of them had to double Matos Maseh and Chukas Balak. They only had 8 Shabboses to read on, and they needed to double 2 of them, like this year. Some only needed to double 1. They didn't do Chukas Balak. And our friends over here, the ones that started with a Hey, didn't double anything at all. They had 10 full Shabboses, and they Ibriyar, only in an Ibriyar. They have no double Parshias at all. Okay. It's pretty rare, yeah. Okay, last Knech. Nitzavim is always right before next year's Rosh Hashanah. After that, we're going to do Hazinu, Vayelech Hazinu, and then we're going to do Bezosa Bracha and Simchas Torah. Sukkot is all its own laning. Shabbos Shuvah is always one Shabbos, right in between, and then sometimes there's a Shabbos in between. Between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, like this year, we'll do Hazinu. Sorry, got that wrong. This year we don't have it, and we don't do Hazinu. Some years you do. If you don't do Hazinu, you got to do it on Shabbos Shuvah. If you do that, you got to do Nitzavim Vayelech before Rosh Hashanah. If you could fit Hazinu after Yom Kippur, then Vayelech Shabbos Shuvah, and Nitzavim's. Yeah, because then there's nothing in between.
It's not enough Shabbos.
That's right.
One comes out of Shabbos.
Yeah, it all depends on whether between Yom Kippur and Sukkot there's a Shabbos or not. Yeah. Right, Pasbag Amela, yeah. Yeah.
Or does this come out for the 3 weeks? Balak has always come out for the 3 weeks.
Is that true? Oh, could be. Okay.
For the 3 weeks.
Okay. So Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz, I think we already saw. If Pesach falls on Shabbos, the last day, Eretz Yisrael gets ahead. If Shavuos falls on Shabbos like this year, so that's when you get ahead. And it'll take a while to catch up, especially for a Nibra Yar. There aren't that many double parses. It can take a long time to catch up. Okay. Last thing I'm going to mention is the civil calendar. Okay? We're not going to do it in detail. The Rishonim didn't care about it at all. All they cared about was the Saint Talmud Levracha, which is the only thing that's even close. It's become important in the last few centuries. The two calendars don't match up very well. Theirs is 365 or so, and ours is a week less, 11 days less or 20 days more, and they bounce around and they average out. And they aren't actually the same length at all. The Gregorian calendar, that's the one they use today, is about half a minute less than the average solar year. Ours is our 19-year cycle we talked about, is about 6 minutes less than the solar year, and in more than 1,000 years, it's drifted about a week out of sync. The Rambam says they could have made it more accurate. They made the months accurate within 1 second. They could have done the same thing. It was much simpler to use a 19-year cycle. They liked that better, and they said that's close enough to have Pesach in the spring until God willing there's a Sanhedrin and we can fix it better. To make it a little more confusing, the secular calendar changed in 1582. Pope Gregory changed it. He made the rules more complicated. He instead of having a leap year every 4 years, they have a leap year every 4 years unless it's at the end of a century, unless it's 1 out of 4 centuries doesn't, the whole complicated thing. And they added an 11-day adjustment. They moved the whole calendar 11 days to make it match up. I'm told there were riots. People rioted when they realized that their rent that month was only going to cover 19 days. They were going to lose 11 days of rent. When you make all the adjustments, so you say the same Talmud Matar on December the 4th or the 5th if it's a leap year, it shifts about a day per century. It keeps moving because they're not exactly in sync. And you can find all the other days from that, like January 1st is 337 days away. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Come back next year. We'll do it again.
It's not